Y'all know what it is. It's the usual suspect 650-50 draw. Buy your tickets now for your chance at winning half the pot. Cash App, $, usual 50-50. Tickets are on sale for $10 for one, $20 for 3 tickets, and $50 for 10 tickets. Put your desired amount, name or alias, as well as your email address, and your tickets will be set. We announce the winning ticket numbers every other Friday on Supreme Beats Boxing Talk Bullshitting on the Beltway, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Remaining proceeds will go directly to the LDBC meet and greet in Las Vegas. Shout out to the LDBC. And remember,
it's a usual suspect tag.
Y'all know what it is. It's the Find the Boxer game. Purchase a box for a chance at winning $500. One of 54 boxes has a missing boxer inside. Purchase your box or boxes by Cash Apping, $, usual 50-50. Include your box number, name, and email address. Your box number will be confirmed and sent directly to your email. Each box is $20, with a 1 in 54 chance of winning. Remaining proceeds will go directly to the LDBC meet and greet in Las Vegas. Shout out to the LDBC, and remember,
it's a usual suspect tag.
of the best grooming products for you. Yes, all natural and handcrafted too. We wanna help be your swagger, style, class, and luxury. We make our products tailor-made for you with high quality. Yeah, so get in style with the black, yeah. Grooming company, to give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah. The black gentleman, yeah. Company, to give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah.
Located at www.theblackgent.com. Yo. What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcoming you to the post-fight show with Stormybman for this Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. This is the post-fight show for Duarte versus Sims Jr. Super lightweights that took place live on Dazn, right here out of the Shy. Yeah! So welcome everybody. The fights just wrapped up a few moments ago. I thought I'd give you all a chance to get a break and get you something to drink and come back and listen to my thoughts on the card. It was a interesting, engaging card, especially since we hadn't had one in the Shy for a long time. So it was nice to see. Ordinarily I would have tried to go, but I didn't get a chance to do that for this show because it's economics play a role in this pretty much, but it turned out to be an engaging event. The co-main, which saw Regis Prograis and Jojo Diaz at welterweight come in there this evening and pretty much take a lot of the suspense and intrigue away from the main event. Though the main event of Duarte versus Sims Jr. was a fight that I had talked about in my breakdown video that had the contrasting stereotypical styles of the boxer against the puncher, with Sims being the boxer and Duarte being the latter. I had also remarked that for his best opportunities to be victorious, Sims was going to have to remain focused and dialed in for 12 rounds. Not that Duarte was such a dangerous one-punch knockout fighter, but he was a strong punching fighter that could definitely draw the ire of the judges, and it's exactly what took place. Sims was dialed in, but I don't believe he changed the levels of his performance through the fight, and it turned out to be not enough to gain favor on the close scorecards. In the post-fight interview, which I did get a chance to listen, he said he thought that he won the fight. I actually started dozing on the fight after the third or fourth round, and I just felt like he needed to do some things to take the play away. When Sugar Ray Leonard fought Marvin Hagler, he had formulated a strategy that with 30 seconds to go in the round, he would get busy and attack Marvin with combinations, moving his hands, being fast, and throwing punches in bunches of combinations to sort of like steal the rounds. It was something that, believe it or not, for the length of the inception of boxing, you didn't see that a lot in the pros, but Leonard did it against Hagler, and it worked wonderfully because though the scorecards in that fight they were close, judges found favor in the energetic Leonard because, first of all, he was off for 3 years. And to be able to come out of that 3-year hiatus and come back and perform against the #1 middleweight in the world, they had not foreseen that. So it was a cheap play on how to steal the fight, and he was definitely able to do that. See, these young men of today, they aren't wise enough to pay attention to the old school fighters and learn different tactics, strategies, and means of how to control and influence the judges for the fights. You know, a lot of that is based on improvisation. A lot of it can be game planned into a fighter's performance, but it's another one of those reasons why I always say watch boxing, not just an individual, because you can learn so much from taking in various bouts. And that was something that stood out about that fight that I mentioned with Hagler and Leonard, and to a smaller degree of fights like today between Duarte and Sims. You could do that, and I'll tell you something, what it would have benefited Sims, because he's fighting in his hometown of Chicago, and it was something that, had he decided to do that, of course this is the time, because you're in front of your hometown fans and crowd and audience, and they will cheer, they will support, they will get behind you, and that also influences judges. So the work was only half done. It was only partial. And again, it's a teachable moment, but at the same time, if you study your craft, you learn these things before you get here, you see. And that's what I have to say about that, because it's definitely a dropped opportunity. So welcome everybody out there. I hope you've had a great evening of boxing and enjoyed this card that came out of Chicago. I'm gonna go take a moment and go to the chat, see who we got in the building. Jimmy Bernard was there early, along with my brother Drew Titan, LLC. Thomas from the Bronx, TD Sports Talk, in the building, saying, "What's good, Stormy? Salute, bro. Good scraps tonight. Close fights." Shawalai is back in the building, saying it's blessing, Stormy, and chat. Universal Truth is out there. Derek Gaines, the legend, is back with us. And some of you are saluting one another. That's what's up. Michael Ray II is in the building. And Chilltown Majors is in the building as well. Yeah. So, and thank you, Chilltown Majors, suggesting that everybody smash the like button as you come in. We have over almost 50 people already, but only 14 likes. You see, I don't know what's up with that, but again, you know, nasty work, to repeat my brother Blue Blood Sport TV, and also my brother 78 Sports TV. It's nasty work when y'all come in and just be, you know, holding back the likes, man. It's like, you know what? It ain't gonna get you into heaven, huh? Holding back your likes, huh? But you can definitely go to the other place, because Stormy gonna try to send you there. Yeah! So, anyway, as we talk about this, My somewhat falling asleep on this fight kind of puts to bed, the idea and notion of where my thoughts were regarding. It wasn't that it was a boring fight, but the fight went one way. If any of you out there will agree with that, in the words of Champside, put a 1 in the chat if you think that, because it's like, the fight went one way. If you saw one round, you saw them all. If you saw the 8th or the 9th, it was just like the 3rd and the 4th. And see, that's when you know that the fighters are not doing anything outside of themselves, and you recognize that with an opportunity to seize victory, with an opportunity to assert yourself and stand above or separate yourself from the opponent or the opposition, here we are. And again, sometimes your coaches and trainers in the corners, they know these things, and they will urge a fighter to do certain things that are in their benefit. However, when the coaches and trainers don't have a lot of big fight, big game, high profile circumstances, they may forget, or they may even freeze up themselves. So this is what we can see. You know what I mean? And I try to talk about these things from a vantage point of understanding both sides and how to get away from what is rudimentary. And see, that's important, because again, it's the difference between having success and failure at the end of the day. I spoke about Kenneth Sims being a fighter who was more versatile than Duarte. He has the ability to box from range, mid-range, inside. He can throw combinations with the best of anybody out there. His punches are very crisp and sharp, and his hand speed is fairly decent at super lightweight. He doesn't have a lot of punching power at the weight, but speed can be power, timing can be and beat power if utilized properly, and take advantage of punching with precision and being accurate. But see, that has to be an applied science from the gym. You can't just come in on fight night and decide you're going to punch with precision and accuracy and those other means that I just spoke of. Sims kind of reminds me of a larger Shushu, and Shushu will at times take the chance to go for it, get a guy in jeopardy, and if he can get him in jeopardy, try to get him out of there. Notice that Sims was never in the frame of mind, upon reflection, asserting himself in that manner. Now, there were moments and times that you could see Duarte trying to load up and really hit him with something of note, but he was able to take what Duarte had. Now, think about that again when I say what I said, and understand Sims's post-fight comment when he says he didn't hit as hard as he thought he would. Okay, you have evidence of that, so why not apply yourself in a manner of which you take some more risks, or you put yourself in a position like you're several rounds in, let's just say like it's round 5 or round 6, or better yet, like round 7 or 8, because you're past that halfway point now. Now, when he throws certain shots, you're going to fire back with certain other shots not only putting your power and leverage into those, but with the desire to gain a produced effect, you see. And there were moments also where Sims would get near the ropes, and that's when Duarte can try to open up a little more, because he's a flat-footed fighter, has to have his feet planted to get those power shots off, but he's only going to throw a couple at a time. You know, he's not going to throw more than 2 to 3 at a time. He'll throw more if he seems that he's had an effect with a shot that he can follow up on. But his discipline is to hit you hard with something that'll catch your attention. Follow that up with something. If it jeopardizes you, shakes you, rocks you, or whatever, then there will be more to come. You see, fighters develop a certain type of rhythm, and that's something that, again, coaches and trainers are supposed to recognize and identify this. And you come back to the corner, they're supposed to be able to give you instructions of what to do. You see, it's one of the reasons that I talk about, like, you know, I don't like to call the fights as much as just watch them and then just come back and do the post fight. Because when I'm watching everything, man. I'm watching all of the action. I'm watching what's happening in the corners, you know, and I'm looking for adjustments. I'm waiting to see how things are affecting the fighters, and you don't always see it right away. But a trained and experienced eye can pick up on things right away. Body language. You know, Andre Ward used to like to talk about that. But what I didn't like when he would talk about it is he wouldn't explain that. He would take it as a presumption that you already knew what he meant. And when you talk about body language, it could mean the presentation of how someone's behavior, reactions, or actions are in the moment. But that's not always that. How to tell when a fighter is becoming fatigued. How to tell when their energy is changed and they've switched up and they're becoming more intensified. How when a fighter is looking for that moment to take an opportunity, that what I like to call and deem the Ray Leonard moment. That's when they're gonna check your temperature. We don't have enough of that today because there's a lot of guys, like I said, they haven't been brought through the changes to be able to incorporate that into a fight during live action. It's another one of the reasons why in the gym, you don't just fight in the gym. You know, sparring of today amongst a lot of the young guys is fighting. They're going in there trying to have wars and best one another and say that, yeah, I worked with so-and-so and I got the better of them. And now they want to take to social media, and because they sparred another name and known and ranked fighter, they want to project that, oh, because they did have a great opportunity or got the best of them this day or that day, that, yeah, I don't need to even fight him because I'm better. You know, all of that kind of foolishness. The gym is where lessons are supposed to be taking place so that you can gain better authoritative representation of self. Now, when you get in live action, that's not the time to try to learn the lessons, huh? It's the time to show that you've learned some things, and let me show you what I've learned, you see? But this is what we have today, and I talk about it with heavy critique, and some people don't like it, but it's not me coming down on or even feeling like, you know, it can't get better. It can. But see, people should have, they should want to be better. And that's something that we're not seeing as well. People wanting to be better, you know? But yeah, Sims, I do believe that Duarte won the fight with the way they scored and how they were looking at what they were looking at. However, there is a caveat. Let me say this about the winning and losing of a boxing match like that. First of all, you have to understand and acknowledge that judges are always gonna go for what they like. And you can give them reason not to consider you when you don't do the things or take advantage of opportunities that are right there and ready for you. So, with that being said, we've talked about this type of representation, and good boxers that don't have a great deal of power have to do something because they can't apply the power. So they need to do something to capture the judges' not only attention but imagination and make them feel for what the actions are. Sims didn't do that. And there's no greater opportunity than fighting in front of your hometown and fight fans. You know, we talk about this. It's something that they should do. Fighters, they should do, take that opportunity. Now, there's also this thing where you can have the traditional Mexican style boxer that is a puncher or slugger, and then they can be facing the black fighter that's an athletic, you know, more gifted boxer with maybe foot speed, hand speed, and athleticism. What our dearly departed brother Curtis Anderson used to refer to, Kurt Sugar, used to refer to as rhythmic and perpetual motion. To be able to offset rhythmic and perpetual motion, they try to cut the ring off, have a smaller ring to operate in, and stay in close proximity to have access to the opponent. Well, when you know these things already, you have to have something to counter that. Isn't that what I was just saying a moment ago? So Sims Jr. didn't have something to offset that. All you needed was a couple of different things to do throughout the fight to gain that favor, because these judges are just not. We watched Tevin Farmer lose 3 fights in a row to the judges, not necessarily to the opponents. Ray Morata and William Zepeda twice. And Tevin is a hell of a boxer. He's a very, very good boxer. And they didn't give him benefit of the doubt in the scoring of those fights. Close rounds, they give it to the other guy. I mean, it's almost like a punishment to fighters who don't have the punching power. Now, you take a guy like Paulie Malignaggi. When he was boxing, Paulie couldn't crack an egg, but he was a very good boxer. And it wasn't until he started fighting the very good boxers and boxer punchers in his own career that what he did well could be offset by the rhythmic and perpetual motion of other fighters, the power of other fighters, and the overall athleticism of other fighters. But it didn't mean that Paulie couldn't exist in that realm of consideration, because he did get decisions. You know what I'm saying? But he knows more than anyone else out there what I speak of, because he was victimized by a couple of close decisions himself. But it's what I say that the fighters find themselves, and they present themselves in a way of, you know, what they find, what they're dealing with. And that's something that, again, it's right there in front of your face. So that was, you know, pretty much the fight in summary to me between Duarte. Now, Duarte will go out there and lose to someone who's got a little more pop on their shots. There are openings for him. When he punches, he's wide open. And that little bit of a high guard that he seems to try to incorporate, or at least, you know, there are openings to take advantage of that. And I didn't like the fact that Sims Jr. didn't try to take advantage of that, because, oh my goodness, there were shots that he could have thrown to get this guy in trouble. And you don't have to be the hardest puncher to do that. All you have to do is know how to set up the shot that you really want to get in there. See, that's aptitude, that's intellect, that's ring IQ, you know, and it just wasn't there. So, you know, I see that, and I get a little frustrated, because I'm like, man, you left something on the table, huh? Something on the plate, something in the pots, huh? Yeah, it's getting close to time to do a dining dish, because Stormy thinking about food again. Yeah, but anyway, let's move on. The co-main event, which saw Regis Prograis taking on Jojo Diaz. Now, this was a battle between two men whom have faced harsh times as of late in the sport of boxing. Both have found it kind of tough, huh? And the way I saw it, Regis was the one who was supposedly coming in with Joseph as an opponent. Though Joseph is the younger fighter, at 32 to Regis is 36. Diaz seemed to be the more lively guy in there. Two southpaws facing one another had to be kind of tough, because they've been awkward against other people, but there was primarily a lot of awkwardness between the two. The penguin-armed Regis, who is 5'8" with a 67-inch reach, against Jojo, who's 5'6" with a 64-inch reach. But Jojo usually fights where he wants to get close to his opponents, and he has success in doing that. He will not use a jab to save his life, but a jab could save his life. And the born again man he is, he should have reconsidered some of his tactics in this fight, because for whatever reason on this particular night, we'll need to see him again in the future. Regis's punch resistance wasn't very solid tonight, because I think it was early as the was it the first or second round? First round, that Jojo caught him with some shots, particularly this little uppercut on the inside that had Regis's legs as stiff as a 2x4. And that was quite interesting, because going in, we thought that Regis was the one who would be able to impose his punching power, but Jojo was the one who seemingly got the results out of the punches landed. He didn't look very solid on his game tonight, Regis. It could have been the southpaw position of Jojo. It could have been the fact that Jojo, fighting at welterweight, hey, you know, he's packing a bit of more power than Regis thought he might have brought into the fight, and it surprised him. And those surprises were sprinkled throughout the rounds. They weren't just in that first round. It seemed like anytime Jojo stepped up to throw combinations, particularly starting off at the body and working his way finishing up top, man, he had some real good cooking going on there. Unfortunately, I don't know if it was the 7th or 8th round, there was a cut. No, it was early as the 4th round, because the 4th round hadn't ended. I'm sorry, I went too far ahead. In the 4th round, a clash of heads opened up a very bad cut over JoJo's left eye. And Regis seemingly knew how to keep that cut and the blood from it flowing, because though it was off to the left of the eyelid of just under the eyebrow of JoJo, when they would fall together in clinches or come together in close proximity, Regis made sure to put his head down and rub those braids over that cut. You know, it's like I'm watching these things and I can see tactics and stuff. You know, it just, I'm like, wow. Again, it's about making adjustments. And JoJo was pawing at the cut all night. Some instances he was choosing to paw at the cut instead of letting his hands go, where he had some advantages, and he didn't do that. So it was kind of like, yeah, you know, it was a confusing thing. And I believe that these guys, their styles are made for each other, because they're short men with short arms. And I'm not, believe me, I'm not like making fun, but it's a little bit funny, because typically whomever they fight, the other party has a longer reach than them. So Regis on this evening, because his 67-inch reach, which is so much shorter than other 5'8", 5'9" fighters that he's fought, he had the reach advantage over JoJo. So Regis was pumping that jab tonight. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of funny to me, because I remember like when he was fighting Jack Catterall and he was pawing that jab, but it was never landing. It was like short, coming up short. And of course, against Devin Haney, the same thing. But tonight against JoJo, he was having JoJo on the end of his jab. And it was kind of funny to me. But yeah, Shava, his T-Rex arms, you know, it's like that was kind of funny. For any of you that were paying attention to that, you might have found it humorous too, because Regis is never have a longer reach than his opponents. And tonight he did in JoJo. That was just funny to me, man. I don't know. I find stuff like that so funny. But listen, Diaz, out of his last 6 fights, has dropped 4 fights. He won his last fight against Jorge Diaz, that was in June of this year, and he won a UD. But guys like Oscar Duarte, who stopped him back in April of last year, Abraham Montoya, Jesus Campos, and Mercedo Gasta, you know, he's dropped some decisions to these guys. It was Duarte who stopped him, but a couple of 3 split decisions out of that. It's like, it lets you know that JoJo, he's just in the fight like he was tonight. I wonder if the fight would have had a different outcome had the cut not happened, because he was having his moments. And like I said, for whatever reason, Regis wasn't looking as stable as he has been known to look at times. Pardon me, had to take a little drink of water there. But yeah, overall, this was the fight of the night. And I do believe it's because of the 2 men's shortcomings, no pun intended, and the both of them having the necessity to be close proximity to be successful, it made for a very interesting fight. And I do believe that JoJo can punch a little bit harder than he's given credit for. I wouldn't mind seeing this fight again. I know that Golden Boy was the promoter for this, and Regis may not want that. He's 36 right now, but it's a heck of a fight for these guys to make a good purse. They could be the co-main for another Golden Boy event down the line. That would be amazing, because if you watch this, you'll be like, you know what? Those two guys really put on a great show, and I would love to see what will happen, going forward. That's the type of fight fans like to see. Action, vulnerability, blood, and punches thrown. Yeah. So that's, DLP says, dudes got flippers for arms. Well, see, again, if you think about what Turkey has said over the past month or so, talking about the Tom and Jerry fights and everything, right? This falls in the category of what's more exciting, and like I said, it's because of the guy's shortcomings. Guys who have longer arms can do a variety of more different things, but people who have the short arms got to get in the danger zone, and the danger zone is where punches are not only landed and thrown, but damage is taken, so but that's what it is with boxing. Yeah. So, but it was such a good fight. It could have been the main event, to be honest with you, because Duarte and Sims Jr., yeah, that was okay, but those two men, Regis and JoJo, they're more well known, so that main event could have been flipped. Anybody out there agree with me on that? So, I mean, what you guys think? So what do you guys, what you guys think about the fights tonight? Because I was like right there thinking that one of those fights, the co-main or the main, could have been a fight to really, cap the night off. The Regis fight seemingly was doing that for us, but I don't know. But those scorecards for Duarte and Sims Jr., they stink, 115 to 113, 114 two times, and 116 to 112. See, in a great world, those winning scorecards of 115 to 113 and 116 to 112 would have gone in favor of Sims Jr. And Duarte would just go out there and lose to someone else. Yeah. See, Ryan Garcia, when he fought Duarte back in December of 2023, he had hand speed and the pop on his left hook to set Duarte up. And that's how he was able to prevail. But if you think about Sims Jr. having a punching power, he could have been able to do something similar, but he just can't crack like that. Yeah, Shower, a rematch could be a main. Pawn, salute Pawn, he says he agree. Those Regis scorecards bother me. 2 judges had Regis 8-2. Yeah, man. Let me see how I scored it, because there was one round I gave to Regis that it really should have gone to JoJo. But let me count. I had Regis 1. Yeah, I had it for Regis 6 rounds to 4. But one of those rounds could have gone to JoJo easily for a draw. Yeah. Just, you know, and that's so frustrating, because it's about what you take note of between those two. Shower says, it's what I said all along. Sims has the skill and durability, just no pop. But you know, I explained what he needs to do earlier, you know. TD says, yeah, one judge had it 8-2. Man, that's crazy. I had it like Pawn 6-4. But there was easily one more round that Regis could have lost, and that makes it a draw. Trying to see, looking at those JoJo and Regis scorecards. 98-92 was totally ridiculous. That's totally ridiculous. Pawn says that Duarte just looked a bit more hungry in the championship rounds. I don't even know that it was that. I believe that Sims Jr., his coaches didn't let him know what I was talking about earlier in my monologue of, like, you need to motivate your fighter by the realizations of what they're experiencing. He needed to entice his hometown crowd, entice the judges. He needed to do some things, because he fought the same way throughout the fight. You cannot go through a fight like that without asserting yourself at some point, because you want the judges to take note of you. If you continue to fight each round, but the other guy is the perceived aggressor, they're gonna give it to him. whether he's being successful with his aggression or not. Yeah, we're seeing that a lot, though. We're seeing it a lot. Tazir Lennox says, what did you think of the heavyweight Joshua Edwards? They're putting him in against a lot of lifeless people, man. It's almost kind of like Richard Torres, you know, early career. They were just putting him in there against stiffs that fell down. And the guy is an Olympic silver medalist. He shouldn't be fighting people like that. He finally had that big fight against Guido Vianello, you know, but again, prior to that, he was fighting guys that, you know, they were working in the automotive shop or something, you know, it's just beating those guys up. And I think that Joshua is doing the same thing. And it's time to step it up. It's time to fight somebody that can take him some rounds. Because when I even looked at this kid, Audie, that he fought tonight, I'm like, seriously, this dude ain't getting out the first round. And that's exactly what it was. Now, he's older than Moses Atuma and roughly about the same size. He punches harder than Moses Atuma, and I could tell what his punching power is, because when he hits people, their eyes light up and there's an immediate result when he hits people. But he's not as skilled as Atuma, so in that area he's going to require some work. But at 3-0, with the way he's been beating guys up, they need to take a few months of honing him, getting him better, and upping the level of his competition. Because just knocking guys out in 1 or 2 rounds, that's, you know, I'm sorry. That doesn't give me a lot to assess. Doesn't give me a lot to assess. The Messenger 215, what's happening? What's good with you? Pawn says Chicago needs more boxing events. Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely. So, let's see here. Pawn, are you operating off of a ghost account? DLP, what's happening? He says, solid card tonight. Yes, it was. Very solid card. Very solid card. I want to take a moment and acknowledge a Cash App donation that has come in from the brother DLP. Let's see. I'm trying to pull it up. I don't know why this does that sometimes. The Cash App doesn't pop up right away. He says, great fight breakdown, Sensei. The BAM card. Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you for that. Yeah, I try to do my best. You know what I mean? Appreciate your donation, man. DLP. Vaughn says, no, sir, not a ghost account. Okay. All right. You know, we get a lot of people that come out, man, sometimes, and they, you know, and people shouldn't have to make ghost accounts. You be who you are, you come out, you know, but we get a lot of trolling and stuff like that. Not that I'm saying you're trolling. I'm just explaining one of the reasons why I inquire, because when I see someone I haven't seen, I just check them out, you know what I mean? Supposed to, you know. But you're welcome to stop in and enjoy the post-fight show and participate. I encourage people to do that. Matter of fact, there's a lot out there, ghost accounts, they won't do it. They'll be there, but they won't write. That's funny. You're here, but you won't show that you're here. You're peeping through the blinds and the bushes. Some of them are some of your favorite channels and content creators out there. Damn near 100 people, but only 22 likes. I don't go where I don't like, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't. So it's like I'm out there. I'm showing love and support. We got a lot of young brothers and sisters who have become solid content creators and always worth going to check out. And I speak it to the speak it to light. You know, the support behind them. No, DLP, I didn't go, man. I didn't go. You know, my ends didn't allow me to. I'm barely able to make the meet and greet, you know, coming up. So, but that's another reason, because Stormy only got so many funds. As you see, there's not a lot of color in my chat, right? It's like, not saying that I'm complaining. I'm just saying that every little bit helps. But yeah. Those other fights on there, that what was his name? The Mexican dude. Yair Gallardo taking on Quentin Rankin. I felt like Quentin came in as an opponent. The young man had too much fight experience to not fight. A 38-year-old southpaw who's 6 feet with a 76-inch reach. Gallardo is 6'2", 22 years of age, looks older, reminds me of Filip Hrgovic for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe it's the Frankenstein in him. I don't know. But it's like he reminds me of Hrgovic. Rankin was too athletic and everything to allow this guy to have his way. But again, Quentin Rankin was brought in as the opponent. I don't know. But Gallardo had him down at one point too. What was that? The 6th round, he put him down with a body shot. Yeah. That Tristan Calicruth fight against Devontae Williams, I don't know what that was. When I was talking behind the scenes with some of the brothers and sisters on the fight card, someone has said I think they knew Devontae, and maybe he was a real true 154-pound fighter fighting at cruiserweight. What the hell is that all about, man? That's kind of ridiculous. If he's normally a 154-pounder, that means if he was at cruiserweight, he didn't train for this fight at all. 154 is junior middleweight. But he was a last-minute substitution, you know. 32 years of age, he's 6'2", and wow. Let me check his record. He was at 153 last in June of 2017. So that was a long time ago. He had been campaigning at 168 in 2021. And he showed up last year after a couple of years off at light heavy. Yeah. Guys like that, you probably ain't able to get fights. Probably got a 9-to-5 blue collar worker. They keep some guys in the fold just so they can have guys that they're trying to feature have an opponent to go up against. That's the one thing I don't like about boxing, man. It's a real sleazy sport when it comes down to that. But overall, this was it was a decent card. The Chi deserves more boxing. There was one time when the fights were in Chicago a lot. I mean, we go back to the 50s and even the 60s and 70s. There were a lot of fights in Chicago, man. A lot. When we had the old Chicago theater. Not theater, the old Chicago stadium. Or the amphitheater. You see fights. But they just don't kind of have them here like they used to. And while I'm on the air, I like to say this. I want to give a special shout out to my mentor, Eddie Davis, who has been stricken with illness. He's in the hospital. And I wish and say peace and blessings be upon Eddie, and hopefully he can get through this situation. It's kind of serious, but that's my mentor. I hadn't talked to him in a while, and I went to call him, and he's in the hospital. So just wanted to say that know my thoughts and prayers are with him. So yeah. It's like I learned some things from him, and it just increased my knowledge on how to look at the sport. And it's funny because I didn't spend a lot of time with him, but it's like sometimes it don't take all day to do things, you know what I mean? But I was able to learn a lot from the man and really appreciated him for what he gave me during the time that I worked with him. And I've acknowledged him on my air before, because I consider him a strong mentor. But yeah, and he has worked with pros, amateurs, ran a boxing program here in Chicago where he's well known through the Park District and the amateur boxing program, the ABA. So I don't know that he'll be able to continue, but I just hope that I wish him a recovery for what he's going through. So yeah, appreciate those prayer hands out there, you guys. Appreciate that, because it's a serious situation for somebody I've known a long time. Yeah, thank you. You know, they always use the term health is wealth, but at the same time, it's something to say casually because there's a lot of truth behind it. But I don't think most of us realize how vulnerable we are and can find ourselves where our health is being attacked. And life is very short. Life is very short. But I'm gonna get ready to get on up out of here so you guys can be released into the rest of your evening. But before I go, gotta hear from my man, the Focus Ball. Yeah.
Get ready to take your striking game to the next level with the Focus Ball. Dramatically improved footwork, timing, head movement, hand-eye coordination, reflex, and overall fight IQ. It's lightweight and extremely portable, so you can train every time, everywhere. When you don't have a coach to do mitt work, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a heavy bag to hit, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a sparring partner, get yourself a Focus Ball. And when you just want to have fun punching and kicking, get a Focus Ball. When you train with the Focus Ball, you train your eyes and your brain to read punches so that you can hit and not get hit, making this very simple device a must-have for all combat sports athletes and enthusiasts alike. So if you want to take your striking game to the next level, don't wait. Get the Focus Ball now.
Yeah, so we've come to the end of another post-fight show, man. That's what's up. I am so glad that you guys came in to rock with me for this. I did do fight breakdowns for the co and main event of this card. We've got the LDBC meet and greet coming up this weekend, and I hope to be attending for the first time. Myself, brothers and sisters from the community have assisted with me to be able to be a part of that, so I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be something different for me, so I look forward to being able to meet a lot of the content creators from the LDBC face to face and exchange ideas in person and thoughts in person. So that's exciting. I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC. And I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace to everybody. Thank you again for tuning in. All right.
Oh, what a nice day. Look at Jessica. Jessica, what are you doing? You know you can't swim. Get away from the water, Jessica. Jessica, get away from the... Oh, my God. Somebody help Jessica, please. She can't swim. Go help Jessica, run. Jessica, no. Oh, my God. No, Jessica. No, the water is pulling her back in. Where's the lifeguard? Lifeguard, hurry up. She can't swim. Jessica, no! Jesus! Jessica, Last one, please save her. Yes, 2 lifeguards. Save her, no. Please, Jessica. Oh, look, hey, that husband is coming. Oh, the one of them dead. Jessica. Hey, please, save her. Jessica, they're coming now. They're here, Jessica.